The movie begins with John running through the streets of New York City, pressed for time. He pays with his last gold coin to enter the Continental and heads straight to the library in search of a book. The book contains several items, including some of his remaining gold coins, a marker, a photo of his late wife, and a cross. Soon after, Ernest, a large man, arrives to kill John even though there is still time before their scheduled fight. Ignoring this fact, Ernest attacks John with his knife. A fierce battle ensues between them until John uses the book as a weapon to break Ernest's jaw and kill him instantly. Although victorious against Ernest, he leaves behind a stab wound on John's body. With only 5 minutes left before he becomes excommunicado, John searches for medical help near his house but is forced to stop halfway when time runs out. John then stitches up the wound himself and takes painkillers. However, instead of killing him like expected by tradition, the doctor asks John to shoot him so that it appears as if they fought each other in order for High Table Council members not suspect anything suspicious about what happened during their encounter. After leaving the location, John was pursued by dozens of hitmen who cornered him in a gun shop. However, he easily eliminated them all and left the store. More assassins attacked him soon after, but John used horse kicks to beat them up at the stables before escaping on horseback. Meanwhile, Joan's fugitive price increased to $15 million, making John a tempting target. John arrived at a theater where he met with the director and showed an identification marker. They discussed his history as it was where he grew up. The director took John to the back of the theater and asked what he wanted. John revealed that he wanted directions to Casablanca while agreeing to sever all ties with this place. A mysterious woman entered Continental showing a black coin to Sharon, who immediately called Winston, informing him that the adjudicator had arrived. After seeing Santino's corpse, she told Winston that he must step down from his position for allowing John to live instead of killing him immediately after breaking rules. The adjudicator also visited King Bowery, telling him to leave town and step down from his position since previously giving Joan 7 bullets knowing full well they would be used against Santino violated their code of conduct. The adjudicator emphasized that even an excommunicado cannot escape the rules of a High Table Council. King Bowery, however, dismissed this and refused to step down from his throne as he was a king. The adjudicator gave him 7 days to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, John arrived at Casablanca but was attacked by 3 knife-wielding enemies. He managed to kill one of them in self-defense before being saved by a man who informed him about the amnesty granted by the manager. They then went to meet manager Sophia at the Moroccan branch of Continental Hotel, where she shot John in the chest, but he survived due to his bulletproof suit. John showed her a marker which she had given him years ago after he saved her daughter's life and demanded that she take him to see her old boss despite Sophia's initial refusal. On another front, the adjudicator visited a small sushi shop run by Chef Zero, who recognized their coin and was assigned with hunting down John Wick along with anyone who helped him. John and Sophia prepared their weapons for their journey, after which John revealed that he only wanted to talk with his former boss while Sophia insisted they couldn't just talk. In a short time, they arrived at the compound and met Barada, who was in charge during Sophia's absence. John asked Barada to take him to see the Elder, leader of the 12 High Table Councils, as he wanted to make amends. However, Barada didn't know where the Elder was located but informed John that the Elder only sees those he wants to see. He directed John to walk in the desert following the direction of stars until he almost dies, then he may or may not meet with the Elder. After providing this information, Barada requested a gift from Sophia, one of her dogs. When she refused, Barada shot one of her dogs. Seeing this act of violence, John warned Sophia not to seek revenge. However, she shot and killed Barada and exchanged fire with his guards before leaving. Meanwhile, back at their school performance for ballet students, the director watched as 3 ninjas quickly finished off his guards before interrupting their show. The adjudicator appeared and reminded the director that his membership on High Table Council did not allow him to help John despite having a marker because it wasn't higher than council rules. The director agreed to show loyalty again by paying a penalty in blood when Zero stabbed both hands of the director but left him alive. John and Sophia were driving through the desert when we saw John stab his finger, marking it with blood, indicating that Sophia had kept her oath, freeing herself from servitude under high table rules. She then told him that he would die there before leaving him alone in despair. John walked through the desert with an empty bottle for a day and night before collapsing. Meanwhile, ninjas attacked the king's compound and killed the guards. The adjudicator punished the king with 7 cuts for not using his chance wisely. After regaining consciousness in a tent, John met with the elder of the High Table Council, who offered him a choice: die or become Boogeyman again, to reverse his excommunication by killing Winston, who opened a $15 million contract on John's life. Though hesitant at first, John agreed after cutting off his wedding ring finger as a pledge of loyalty to the elder. The staff then brought him back to New York. Upon arriving in New York City, John is immediately greeted by Zero and his ninjas. However, John chooses to escape by stealing the motorcycle of another assassin who was chasing him. Despite this, Zero and some of his ninjas continue to chase after him. During their journey, John eliminates several ninjas, leaving only Zero behind. Unfortunately, they both slip and fall right in front of the Continental Hotel, where Sharon suddenly appears and forbids Zero from killing John. Sharon takes them inside, where she directs John to meet Winston while Zero remains waiting outside. Winston meets with John in a glass room that is only used when someone wants to see if their opponent is hiding under a high board table. He knows that John is here to kill him, but admits that he would rather be killed by a friend than an enemy. Winston tells John that there are 2 options: sell his soul to become a slave for the High Table Council, or fight against them even though it may result in his death. The adjudicator arrives just as they finish talking and asks Winston if he will resign from his position at the Continental Hotel, which he refuses. The adjudicator then asks if John will kill Winston on sight, but he also refuses. As a result, the adjudicator decides that the New York Continental Hotel is no longer neutral territory and orders professional assassins to target it, especially Winston and John Wick. In response, Winston removes excommunicado from John's status, restoring all privileges so that he can use weapons within the hotel during this attack on their lives. John was escorted to the weapons room, where he learned that the High Table Council troops had upgraded their bulletproof vests with thicker material. Winston suggested using weapons with a stronger caliber and locked himself inside the safe while John, Sharon, and other agents prepared for the first attack. During this wave, John and Sharon fared well, but some of their colleagues were killed. The adjudicator contacted Winston to propose a truce due to impenetrable Continental defenses. While searching for his enemy, John was suddenly attacked by 2 ninjas who threw him through glass before he eventually defeated them. On his way to the roof, he encountered Zero, who taunted him from behind glass. 2 of Zero's students then attacked John, almost killing him, but held back out of respect for martial arts. After mocking John for being too old, they continued fighting until John turned things around using his belt as a weapon in their third fight, which ended with him defeating them both. Although they couldn't get up again after being knocked down by John, he let them be and quickly returned upstairs to face Zero. Zero and John engaged in combat, whereupon John used a sword taken from there before employing a hiding trick that enabled him to defeat Zero swiftly by stabbing straight through his chest. John met with Winston and killed Zero. Meanwhile, Winston had a meeting with the adjudicator on the hotel roof. The adjudicator warned him that this was just the beginning of an attack on Continental, and it would fall soon. However, Winston confidently replied that he could take back Continental because they were in New York. Just then, John arrived as the adjudicator offered to release Continental if Winston proved his loyalty to the High Table Council by doing something for John. Despite hearing this offer, Winston decided to side with the High Table Council and shot John off the building's roof, causing him to land hard on the ground below. The adjudicator was satisfied but found out later that Continental was neutral when they checked John's body and did not find anything suspicious. He returned to Winston and informed him that John's body was missing. He reminded Winston of the immense danger